Hey, welcome back to Drive Time. I am your host, Craig Pasta Jardula, and we do it live, bringing you all the hot takes, headlines, and unfiltered opinions that matter most. Whether you're stuck in traffic, cruising to work, or just chilling at home, we want to hear from you. Today's topics are all about the big stories making waves, but we're not just here to talk at you. We want to hear your thoughts, your experiences, and your take on everything from the latest political debates to the everyday challenges we face. Remember, whether you're on the left, the right, or somewhere in between, we welcome all points of view. So grab that hands-free device, dial us up, and let's dive into the conversation. What's on your mind? It's Drive Time. Call in now. All right. Welcome to the show. Welcome. I'm sharing it out there. We're on Rumble. We are live. I am your host, Craig Pasta Jardula. It is Drive Time now. Your time. We got one lonely soul in the Rumble. Let's share that Rumble. What's going on, guys? Where's everybody at? Are they awake? I'm checking out the YouTubes, make sure everything is working. Of course, today we will have our Tuesday guest, Nico House. He will be in shortly. But I want to thank the 6 people who were here right away in the YouTube stream. It's kind of cool. That number's been growing. People have been waking up earlier with us and hanging on out. What's up, Exile? I can see you there. I can see Snorky after sleeping in yesterday, Snorky. What would the professor do to somebody who didn't come to class because they slept in? I'll let you decide your own punishment, my friend. Gabriel Freedom, of course. First one in the chat. Is Fred Edward around? Is Fred up?
Yeah,
Fred going once. He's here.
He was here early.
He was. What do you go?
Him and Gabriel out the gate.
Socialist Tokes. Look at you, bright and early, bushy-tailed. Holy cow. Miguel H. Nice and early. All these cool ass people, nice and early. Is anybody on? Where's my Rumble people? Where you at, Rumble? Where's Enterman Bill? Is he there?
He's getting his pastry, man.
Where the hell is Nico House? let me do a check with him.
Fashionably late.
Fashionably late. I mean, there's sports stuff to talk about with Nico. They made a big trade in the NBA. Sleepy. I know you don't care. Bread and circuses. I get it. What's up, Fred?
Hey, I wish I was more into sports. You know, I don't poo-poo anyone that is. It's like, you gotta have some kind of entertainment. I just prefer other forms of entertainment.
Who's kick bounties?
I think it's
somebody's in here advertising. It figures if we finally we finally got somebody in here from Kick. Somebody from Kick is finally watching it. It's an advertisement. It's a troll. Good morning, Nico House. I'm glad you're here with us today. Thank you so much.
What's going on, man?
I know you know what we're going to talk about, right? Well, of course. Look, anytime I have a guest on, whether they be a co-host, a guest, I always go peep their Twitter, see what they're talking about, and talk about what they're talking about. I'm like the John Jones of independent media. I beat you with your best tactic. Your best form. If you're a boxer, I'm going to outbox you.
So you know how many people have actually made this reference that I look like John Jones? I'm honestly mildly offended how many people have said that, because John's not a pretty man. He is not a good-looking guy. I'm like, what are you trying to say? No, I'm just saying you look like him. I'm like, I do not look like John Jones.
Those flying elbows make him look prettier than ever.
Yeah, so, like from that perspective, yeah, I am definitely like John Jones. But other than that, yeah, nah. And the beard, basically.
Flying elbows. He was one of my favorite fighters for quite some time. Guys, we need you to do us a favor. We need you to share the stream. We need you to share the Rumble, the Facebook, the YouTube. Did you plug in yet, Nico? Because usually when you plug in on Tuesdays, it just starts shooting through the roof.
I'm getting it. I'm sending it out right now. Right now. So I'll tell you one thing, though. I'm still feeling like a champion, man. Still feeling like a champion. Less so now that Giannis is with the Heat, but
well, that is the news for today, right? Like I'm pulling it up right now. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Okay, how do I say it right?
Giannis Antetokounmpo. I can't believe you do not know how to say his name. I'm disappointed.
I just call him the Greek Freak and be done with it.
Right? Or Giannis. That's even easier. Just call him Giannis.
What did you think about the trade yesterday? So what had happened?
I can't believe the Heat were able to keep Bam. That's what I thought about it. I said, y'all going to have Bam and Giannis together, and they got rid of Tyler Hero, who I have always believed is a net negative in the playoffs. He's either injured or he underperforms in the clutch. And I always say that his regular season numbers were fluff because the moment that you can actually make a game plan for him, he doesn't show up.
Yeah. So the guy
he's a bad player, but he's more like they thought he was going to be like Chris Middleton, and he's not. Like Chris Middleton in his prime, but he's not.
All right, so I'm going to translate what Nico's saying over here. So the guy who got traded, you might have seen him. He's been in a lot of commercials and whatnot. He is definitely liked by the NBA. He's called the Greek Freak. His name is Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he is an MVP. I think he's won 2 MVPs in the league. He won a championship about 5 years ago.
He's the only player. He's the only other player other than Hakeem Olajuwon and Michael Jordan who have won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same year.
Yes. Okay. And a lot of people think that Wemby's going to win that quite a bit of times, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, he's great defensively, Wemby. But short story long, you've seen this guy. He's been in a lot of commercials, whatnot. In the NBA, you're not allowed to renegotiate your salary, and there's a salary cap. So when you get traded or you sign with a team, it's almost got to be like matching pieces. So when trades do happen, it's got to be kind of formulated in the right way. Teams can't go over. They got to kind of go. They got. It's almost like a puzzle.
Far less wiggle room than it used to be. Yeah.
So when a trade is to trade a player, it's not that easy. You got to find a good suitor. You got to make it work. So Giannis, the Greek Freak. And he's an amazing player. He's a big guy. He's like a power forward. He gets to the line a lot. He's very personable. They make a lot of commercials with him as of late. I mean, he still has that like European accent, and he's a tall black guy. So he's really it's a cool player. And with the Knicks coming off this championship, he had said at one point he wants to go play for the Knicks. But with the Knicks winning a championship, obviously the decision for the team is like, well, we can't do anything now. We got to sit still. So the question was, where was Giannis going to end up, right? A lot of people thought Boston, the Celtics. A lot of people thought the Heat. Some people thought he'd go out west. We didn't know, but it finally came through yesterday, and he is going to the Miami Heat. Now, what Nico had talked about is they got another big boy out there, Bam Adebayo, and he is
another Nigerian, actually.
Nigerian descent. He got 83 points in a game last year. Most of it was from the free throw line, so it wasn't quite like Kobe's 83 game, but he did get the points. He did have the game. And now they're pairing these guys up, and it's going to be this whole thing like, is it going to be between the Knicks? Can they repeat? Can they now beat the new Miami Heat team that has gotten a big piece of the puzzle and one of the top players? Like I said, in the NBA, guys, it usually takes like a top 5, top 10 player to win a championship. Most of your championships have a solid top 10 player. Michael Jordan was the 3rd pick in the draft. Hakeem Olajuwon was the 1st pick in the draft. Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, all these guys, top 5 picks in the drafts. Stephen Curry, who had won a lot of titles with the Golden State Warriors. You might have seen him on some of the State Farm commercials. He was the number 7 pick in the draft. The New York Knicks, now they did have Karl Anthony Towns, who was the 1st pick in the draft, but their superstar was Jalen Brunson, 33rd pick in the draft, 2nd round. Yeah. Said he was too slow. He was too
He's an anomaly. He's an anomaly.
Small. So it was very interesting for them to win. Now you have one of those top-tier players like Giannis going over to the Miami Heat, and they're going to be a power force. So this is kind of like shaking up the NBA, but it did come in the heels. It felt like Milwaukee needed to get the Giannis situation set right away. Like, we can't hold on to him for a year. If we hold on to him, we won't get anything in a trade. We got to trade him now. The clock is ticking. We got to do it before the draft, which is coming up. So they made the trade. And in the NBA, you have some new realignment. It kind of comes on the heels of this championship where we're saying we still feel like champions. We got our cups and stuff. So overall, we're going to have some mix up in the NBA and have some fun and see what it's like. He'll be down here in Miami where I'm at in South Florida. The Greek Freak has now arrived. So we'll see.
Y'all thought it was expensive now. Y'all think it's expensive now? Boy, them prices about to go up.
Tickets are going to go up. You're going to see a lot of I don't know,
So
and you'll see the marketing out here. Like,
So for the Heat, right? They're justified in going out to get Giannis because I think they've probably perceived the pattern that has emerged. I think in the last like 13 championships, there have been like every championship, every finals has had a different team, has had different teams. The only ones that have been able to show up more than once is the Celtics, and they lost one, and then they won. So basically, the field is wide open because of what Paz was talking about with the salary cap. The salary cap has moved to the point where you can't keep 3 players, and it isn't worth going into the salary tax anymore. Like the results aren't there. So if you have 2 really, really good players, one who's consistent, a leader, and efficient, and then another who's a good 1B, which would be like Karl Anthony Towns for the Knicks in this particular situation, who can also lock down on defense, and then just have a bunch of auxiliary pieces.
yeah.
Dog, that's the formula now. Because I mean, that's what the Celtics had. You can make an argument that's the Thunder's whole that's their whole thing is having 2 really good players and then have a bunch of auxiliary pieces that also just happen to be really, really good as well. Even with the Spurs, it was supposed to be De'Aaron Fox and obviously Wemby. So that's the formula now. And the Heat, that is the kind of formula that they thrive in. Actually, they love that type of.
I think San Antonio will be back in the finals if they don't have any crazy injuries or anything nuts doesn't happen, because I believe is that you have your stars, but it's your role players. I believe the Knicks won because of the best role players in the NBA. Right? And that's because, and I don't know if you know this, ladies and gentlemen, but their superstar, Jalen Brunson, and they got made fun of this. He took like $128 million hit. In other words, he didn't max out his contract so they can bring other players in. Now that $128 million.
Really pay his friends. It was actually to pay his friends from Villanova.
It was because he had won national championships on the college level with Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges. They were able to come in. He was really upset. And that core was really upset when they had this other player from Villanova. They called him the Big Ragu in Madison Square Garden. His name was Dante DiVincenzo. They had to trade him to get Karl Anthony Towns. There's some talk that they might move around. He might be back. We'll see how that works. I don't know. But
if he gets back,
think about this. An NBA pro athlete, instead of maxing out his contract, took $128 million cut over the course of 7, 8 years, whatever it is, just so he could bring in some of the better players. He sacrificed that, and he got the best role players around him. So the Knicks have won this title not because of their 2 best players, in my opinion, but everybody else around them that really came up and showed up to play.
And coaching was a huge factor in this. I feel like we have yet another example of a black head coach that has been kind of relegated to this assistant position for so long. And a lot of people were asking why Mike Brown was not a head coach prior or didn't get a fair opportunity prior. Because people were saying even when the Bucks won that he was integral in the victory for the Bucks. And so you see him kind of take that. I don't know if you saw how the game started running through Cat instead of running through Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, that was in Atlanta. Season. They switched.
Yeah, and so I don't know if y'all remember, but whenever Mike Brown was with the Bucks, the game was running through Giannis at the top, and then they were even running pick and rolls with Giannis and Middleton, and what Middleton setting the pick. So they were doing the same thing in New York, and it worked again. So Mike Brown out-coached the Spurs, and then when you can't rely on your coach and you don't have that veteran presence in the locker room, or at very bare minimum, you don't have that chemistry that Jalen took the pay cut for. He knew his team, the people on his team, that he already went to war with them before. He knew what they were capable of in that moment. And bruh, I mean, you had multiple games where Josh Hart was getting more rebounds than Wemby. That's crazy.
I think, Nico, you hit it on the nose. And let me tell you something. I'm not gonna. Here's the one thing. I don't know what happened with his coaching career at some spots. I know that him losing his job at Sacramento, I thought was a shame the way they did that to him. But just like anybody else, really, to tell you the truth, when people are saying, looking at this team, who do you really love and are gonna really, what are you gonna take from this championship more than anything? For me, it's Mike Brown, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, if I could have a Mike Brown career, and that's get involved, what we're doing, get a head coaching job, learn whatnot, but eventually understand the game so much. Really, what he did, it seems like they, like you said, they sacrificed games during the regular season to learn, to gel, to build cohesiveness, and also to keep a lot of the teams in the dark. Because what Nico was talking about was, instead of the center going down by the basket, posting up, playing around there, they put Karl Anthony Towns at the top of the key and let him facilitate. And he had more than 10 assists game for a big man. And I know that because I bet on one of them and I hit it for like $100. But be quiet, Nico. Don't judge. But, it really did. Like, you could see that this guy has grown. He has learned. That game they won was a game 4. I think they won when they
went down by 29.
Game 4. It wasn't like X's and O. He had a hunch. They were down big. He inserted Jose Alvarado, who's a small, fast, speedy guy, so he can be next to Jalen Brunson, so they can push the pace.
They were running, boy,
during the season. But seeing them on the court together was a complete call by the coach. He took a chance, and it fucking paid off. So, I look at I hope to God my career is like Mike Brown, where I can learn from what I've done in the past and then make it work in the future. He's a student of the game. He learned, and it was really fun watching this team play out in the playoffs.
Don't be like Doc Rivers, everybody. Don't be like Doc Rivers.
Last comments in basketball.
Don't be like Doc Rivers. Be like Mike Brown. Don't tell everybody they should listen to you just because you're Doc Rivers. That was his whole philosophy. Doc Rivers is possibly the most overrated coach in the history of the NBA. I literally, y'all people forget. I'm never gonna let it slide. People forget he was supposed to coach Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo to a championship, and that whole Doc Rivers ends up being the reason that the team is broken up after. Basically, he never ever got them to gel, and that's ridiculous that you can't get Giannis and Lillard to work together. That's absolutely ridiculous because they thought the same thing about Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, and look what happened.
Well, whatever the case may be, we have Mike Brown. We have the New York Knicks. I don't think there's going to be that much movement. I hate our owner. I really do. I can't stand James Dolan. You want to talk about a guy who was born on third base and still thought he hit a triple? That's the owner of the New York Knicks. He kept the New York Jets from getting a stadium in Manhattan at one point.
I forgot about that.
Fucking asshole.
Dolan's a dick, but I'm glad he had to sell the majority portion of the team, bro. I'm that part.
The New York Knicks have hired Palantir, right, and installed all their systems in Palantir in the stadium that now digitally geoprint your face and whatnot, so you can't go see a New York Knicks game without getting on the grid. Palantir's got all the contracts.
Right on time, huh?
Yeah, so you go to a New York Knicks game and they got your whole face. I think it's a cool time too as well when it comes to sports. It's World Cup time, Nico. So that means all the Republicans that bet on Senegal because they were getting great odds can then go look at a map and find Senegal on the map. The World Cup actually helps educate people. Uzbekistan, they didn't even know that was a country. They can go look on a map and see what's going on. So I think it's great bringing people together.
More English speakers.
Iranian situation where monarch-friendly people in Iran have been showing up. Somebody gave me an Iran flag as a shirt. And it had the lion in the middle. And at the time, I didn't know what it was. But then I educated myself quickly and saw that was the Shah flag with the people who want to bring back the Shah. So I got that thing in a corner in a black box somewhere. I haven't brought it out. But they've been in the stands, and it's been interesting.
I don't know why. That's not their team.
What's that?
That Iran team is not their team.
Well, according to them, it is.
I'm going to tell you how I know why. This is some interesting football facts for you. So that Iran team, they were forced to return back to Tijuana after their first group game, after they were promised that they were going to be allowed to stay one night to rest, obviously, then leave on that Tuesday, which is what every team has been doing. They just got sent back to Tijuana in Mexico, where their training facility is, which is ludicrous because they all have visas. So there is actually no legitimate reason that you could have used for them to have been sent back to Tijuana.
Yes, there is. The Ayatollah pissed off Donald Trump.
That's basically. So it's like
you're gonna take the team back to Mexico until you open the Strait of Hormuz.
No, it's but our world, the World Cup being hosted in the U.S. is exposing the immigration system for the fictitious fugazi. I mean, it's like the stock market. it doesn't really exist. It just it exists as long as you have money, and you can play the game as long as you have money. But the moment that you aren't part of that inner circle and you aren't a part of the approved narrative, we're bro. People were getting caught like the Somali ref. The Somali ref qualified for a visa. He got his visa and flew. He wouldn't have flown to the U.S. if he didn't get his visa. Gets to the U.S., gets to Miami, and gets denied. There are multiple staff members that got denied. Huh?
What about the referee, the Ethiopian referee?
That's what I'm talking about. The Ethiopian. Yeah. No, he was Somalian.
I'm talking over you. I'm sorry. So
he was Somalian.
Somalian referee. He got sent back, right?
He was the referee. So it's important to understand this man was the referee of the year for the Africa League.
Yeah.
So he was going to be the first Somali referee to ref in the World Cup. Gets sent back without a reason. Multiple staff members from multiple teams, multiple staff members from Iran got sent back for no reason whatsoever. People are getting to the U.S. Like, they're not getting their visas denied, guys. They're getting approved, getting to the U.S. and then getting turned around without reason.
Yeah. The first game for the Iranians was in the United States, was in California. It was in L.A. Half the coaching staff was not allowed out of Mexico, or they had to return to Mexico. They got there, they had to return to Mexico because they wouldn't let them stay there when Nico's talking. So half the coaching staff for the Iranian team watched from Mexico as their team played in LA. They played to a draw yesterday. You know, Nico, it's kind of funny because nobody from Denmark or Scotland has been coming on over here and sent back over. I don't know. They got their own.
So one player did from Switzerland, but that's because he was a criminal.
Yeah.
And he got caught lying on his. But guess what? They ultimately let him in the country to play.
Figures. Denmark does have that new kid. What's his name? He's been playing great. Not Denmark, not Holland. Denmark has that kid.
The name. I'm talking about Holland player.
You're right. You said Holland. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, bro. He's crazy, bro.
Erlich? Erlich is his first name, I think, Nico.
Bro, don't do that. Don't ask me.
Yeah, something like Erlich.
Those Denmark names, bro. Them Denmark first names.
Denmark does the Viking kind of like, whoo.
Yeah. I mean, bro, I imagine
everybody in unison's together clapping and going. It's like a big Viking thing, and then they speed up. It's pretty cool. Maybe you can grab it, Josh. We can show.
No, do
hear what's going on. Go ahead.
Don't do that. You're gonna get hit with a cop, bro. You can't show any video from anything FIFA.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you'll get hit. That's why FIFA is actually the most strict.
Bueno.
All right.
Yeah, whatever. FIFA is the most strict. That's why on social media you don't see any goals or anything like that during the World Cup, because FIFA will hit every network with the copyright strike immediately. They are the worst when it comes to that. Everybody says it's hurting the game, honestly, because the reason the NBA is so popular now is because of social media.
Because they allow it to go.
They allow a lot of it. Yeah.
Out there, you know, they can use footage and stuff and everything. And that's what I mean. Technically, if it's news, like if you're reporting on a game that was played, you should be able to play it as long as you're doing commentary over it and speaking about it. I mean, that's like technically like the news law. I mean, I don't know.
I think it's harder because
they still automatically strike you though.
So the
international, Norway, not Denmark, by the way.
So the international, what?
Who's Holland played for, Denmark or Norway?
I can't remember. It's Denmark or Norway. I can't remember which
Norway.
one.
I think I was wrong. I think you're right.
Let me check.
Broligarchy. The Broligarchy are losers. Thank you so much. Where the hell you been, brother? We've been waiting for you. The Broligarchy.
Norway. He plays for Norway.
Yeah, he did.
One of them.
There must be somebody watching your stuff, because they're here on a Tuesday. What's up, Broligarchy? Welcome to the show. Guys, if you want to call in, 561-247-2721. That's 561-247. Bernie Sanders, Blackjack, 2721. Nico, you know you're here. We're going to talk about the Tulsi Gabbard thing. But sports-wise, I want to get it out of the way because I know people are like, it's bread and circuses, bro. I didn't show talk about sports.
Bread and circus, my ass.
Distracted anymore.
Man, here's my problem with that. We're watching the World Cup right now, and there's some of the most highly charged political stories happening in the middle of the World Cup, and no one's paying attention. And then they're like, bread and circuses. I'm like, yeah, but this helps reinforce your point. If you are trying to call out the immigration system and you're not paying attention to the World Cup just because it's bread and circus, because you're trying to be like counterculture, you're missing out on opportunities to prove your argument. Because even whenever you do, because what do they say? If they came into the country the right way, then there wouldn't be an issue. If they didn't come in illegally, there wouldn't be an issue. The immigration system is straightforward. No, we just found out that it doesn't matter even if you have money, even if you're sponsored by your country, even if you're literally scheduled or slotted to play a referee in a World Cup, for God's sakes, that you worked your ass off to qualify for, you're still being denied after getting approved. Like, Believe it or not, there are people like sports is not. Pele was not bred in circus, guys. Maradona was not bred in circus. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was not bred in circus. They use their platforms to shine a light on so many issues. In Maradona's case, specifically Palestine. For those of you who forgot,
Diego Maradona was considered one of the best soccer players out there. Had a little bit of a cocaine problem, but that's all right. You let the guy live.
It wasn't considered a problem back in the day.
It was more of a habit.
Yeah,
but he was amazing.
He played a lot, man. He played a lot.
And right now, considered the best player in the world, maybe of all times, is a guy by the name of Lionel Messi. And he has just set the goal record for World Cup goals the other day. He's got 5 goals. He's played brilliantly. But his politics are
shit. His politics are shit, actually. I just want to be clear about that. His politics are absolute ass. He's a Zion. I mean, what do you expect? He's Argentinian. I mean,
But I mean, Diego Maradona was Argentinian, but
he's an anomaly. That's what makes Maradona so great, actually, as an activist.
He could have played for Italy because he has he has Italian blood. So a lot of people in Italy, it was funny because they were booing when the World Cup was in Italy. They were booing him in Rome, I think, but praising him in a different part of the country. So he had love and hate all around.
In South Italy, where was it Sicilians?
I have no idea.
How do you have no idea? Where do the browns olive skin Italians live?
Mostly, the further south you go, the darker they get.
Go.
Closer to Africa you go, right? You want to talk about movies? Didn't you see that movie with Christopher Walken? We can't do it. When Dennis Hopper tells him, "You're Sicilian, aren't you? Right? Your country was conquered by the Moors, and it was a part in history where the Moors conquered Sicily. They had control of Sicily, right?" And, the Moors being African, Sicilian. So there's this whole scene, and that's that whole scene, guys, in True Romance, which is one of the most underrated movies. Tarantino sold the script. I think Rodriguez directed it, but that had everybody in it. Samuel L. Jackson had a small part. Benoit Pinchot Benet, I think his name is, the guy who played Balky. He was in that movie. Arquette was in that movie. There was the cops. Chris Penn, that Sean Penn's brother, was in that movie. There was so many.
You got this random ass Hollywood knowledge on. We were talking about Messi, Argentina, and fascists at Italy, and you just talk. Don't ever play movie trivia with Pasta, y'all. Y'all gonna lose. I promise you. Don't ever do it. This man knows so much about movies. It's insane.
It's the old movies, Nico. The new movies.
I know.
The new movies could go suck a dick. This new movie.
Most new movies are trash. I agree.
Let me just make a joke. Right? Let me make a joke. Steven Spielberg is the real reason why you want to beat up Jewish people. That movie sucked.
Which one?
I want to kick his ass. Right?
Which movie?
Disclosure Day, the new one.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I went and saw it. Because I was told you got to go see this.
That look.
I'm pretty sure I said I'm pretty sure we established during the stream like this doesn't look like it's going to be that good.
Yeah, well,
dude, so bad.
And so you know how that goes.
Bad information.
So fun fact, y'all remember when Argentina made it to the World Cup last time? A lot of Argentinians were being racist as hell, telling France to send their players back to Africa. Because the majority of the team is black, and a lot of the team wasn't even born in France, but instead in one of the colonies, and instead of playing for their African home country, they chose to play in France for opportunity purposes. Okay, cool. But what the funniest part about that is Messi is Argentinian only and exclusively by birth. That man was raised in Spain. He was specifically in Barcelona. Because he was at the academy since like 8 years old. Like he plays for Argentina, and especially back at that time, he probably played for Argentina because playing for Spain wouldn't work. Like he wouldn't have been able to start on Spain at that time. Spain has always been pretty nice, and Argentina was in a transitionary period where he could establish himself as a star. But no one's being like, "Oh, send send Messi back to Spain" or anything like that. They love Messi whenever he's putting on an Argentina jersey, forgetting that he doesn't even. I don't know if he's ever even lived there other than his childhood. So it's just very interesting when you see like the double standard of like importing talent and how they react whenever the French do it, which is a whole different conversation how they're able to do it. But and then when they do it. principally with Messi of all people, all of a sudden it's cool because he's one of the best players in the world. So, but I do got to give Messi his props. I'm not a fan of Messi at all. I'm a Cristiano fan, but Messi has been playing well. He's been, I think, him playing in the MLS was from if you're looking at it from the perspective of a World Cup position, like he knew he would play far less games in the MLS and save his body for this moment. Because generally speaking, most players at this age, at his position, can't perform like this in the World Cup if they're still playing the Euros. Because, bro, in the European League, they play so many games and it's so physical and so difficult. MLS, Messi's chilling. He's chilling. Like, he gets hurt every now and then, but he gets plenty of time to recover and recuperate. I think he's already won the championship there too. So it's this World Cup has been very entertaining so far. I'm not even gonna lie. I've been very impressed by the play, especially from the teams that we didn't think were going to do that well. So,
I would have liked to seen Iran win the other night when they went down a man, when Belgium went down a man, and they had 11 on 10. So it was kind of like, let's get this goal over here. They got 2 ties in a row, so they're still alive. There are some teams that got knocked out late last night. Jordan got knocked out when they lost to Algeria, so they're out of it. They have one last game against Argentina and Messi, so they can enjoy it. But it is a lot of fun watching some of these games. It's fun.
Brazil,
sports right now. It's like, bonus time.
Brazil went crazy. Yo, oh my God. Y'all know every time, Paz, every time Brazil scores, they let off fireworks every single time, bro. The game starts, they let off fireworks. You can't go anywhere in Brazil without fireworks being, like, even during the Flamengo games, which is one of the teams here, the most popular team probably. But like when the Brazil games start, bro, it is, you hear people on the streets. I mean, I don't live near Copacabana, bro. I live like in people call the interior. Basically, I don't live near tourists. And you still see and hear fireworks everywhere. Every time they score, when they win, the celebrations go on for about another hour and a half, 2 hours. If you set an appointment with somebody to come to your house the next morning after Brazil won, good luck. Sorry for you, because that motherfucker's not showing up. I promise you. I've already experienced this twice, guys. I had somebody come in to put my bed together for my kids. I said, "Hey man, you on the way?" Oh man, so here's what happened, right? What happened was I'm working on my house this morning. I was supposed to work on my house, but I got to organize my lawn first and my lawn, because my grass is big, so I can't have him working on my house with my grass like that. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, this nigga got drunk. He hungover. That's why. Because he didn't even respond to an hour after his appointment with me. That's Brazil, bro. Ain't nothing like experiencing the World Cup in Brazil, man. I'm telling you.
Well, that was the thing. 4 years ago, they had this controversial election, but then the World Cup came and they had to cancel the controversy. Like, all right, we didn't get into this. We got the World Cup. We out. Peace. And everybody's like, they're in the streets protesting for Bolsonaro. I'm like, they're in the streets screaming for Brazil to win the World Cup, assholes.
Hard to tell which one.
All right, so I want to thank David Crow, who got here nice and early. Look at him there. First cup of Joe at 5:30. We welcome you. Don't worry, David. We'll get to the Zionists / Jews / Iran / Israel / who's blaming who's zooming who a little bit later. But right now, we got Nico House. We did talk about this yesterday, but I had a day to sit on it. I played it live. I watched it for the first time. I saw clips of it, of Tulsi Gabbard and her farewell speech. Then. Farewell to the troops. Nico, I don't know if you saw it. We're going to play it live again right now and have a conversation about this, because this is very disappointing. There are some people out there. I spoke to somebody yesterday. I spoke to Johnny Tsunami, and he's like, wow, that was pretty cool. I'm like, what do you mean it's pretty cool? Like, she used the term lab leak. There are three. Lab leak. There are 3 main theories on how COVID-19 started. The first one, which they told us, it naturally evolved out of bat soup in a wet market. They didn't say bat soup.
Funniest one.
They said out of a wet market. I think bat soup sounds good, right? Well, whatever. It was a bat virus that evolved, and oh my God, it actually got out, and those dirty Chinese with their wet markets and whatnot. And don't get me wrong. You can lobby some criticisms at the Chinese for all the animals they eat, but I guess if you eat cow, you eat pig, everything's on the table, right?
Saying it evolved from bat, it's like that's ludicrous, bro. That's dumb shit.
That's one reason. Let me get through these reasons. That's number one reason. Bat soup. Number two reason, it was a virus that escaped. It leaked out. It was accidental. And oh my God, they were working on these viruses for whatever reason, right? Not the fact that people aren't arguing the fact that it shouldn't be legal to do gain of function testing. It should be illegal. And at one point it was, but the Patriot Act came along and they had this vague clause in the Patriot Act, which allowed the intelligence and the military apparatus to go back to testing again, despite treaties that were signed with China, despite treaties that were signed with Russia about biological testing. Well, the United States went crazy, and also in Ukraine, they started putting these puppies everywhere, which was one of the reasons the Russians kind of freaked out, because the Americans have been known, along with MI6, along with the Mossad, along with the intelligence apparatus and the military apparatus, to try and make bioweapons designed for certain races. They've been literally trying to do that. So Cuba freaked out and goes, was this bioweapon made for us? The Russians freaked out and said, is this bioweapon made for us? The Chinese freaked out and said, did they make this bioweapon for us? Because the third theory, so you got number one, bat soup in a wet market. Number two, it accidentally leaked out. Number three, it was an actual bioweapon to bring in the shot, which can also be considered a bioweapon, right? So those are the three theories out there. Now, if you're saying lab leak, you are really kind of providing cover for the intelligence apparatus, the military, the government, which is allowing this stuff to happen. You are taking off the table that there are Malthusiasts of sorts, right, that want to kill us all, that they think there are too many of us out here, right? Even white people in this case, right? The whole thing about COVID in the United States, the most vulnerable, because the most willing to take a shot were the white people. What did my doctor say? You know, black men were like, wait a second. What about Tuskegee? I'm going to pass what you're hesitant.
Yes. We were like,
Whitey had to go.
If you don't mind, how much shit did we get? Because the black people were the first ones to be like, y'all got us fucked up.
You ain't get no shit for me.
For that one again. They were going after athletes.
You got praise.
Cam Newton didn't get a job again in the NFL because he refused to take the shot. But the problem was that he wasn't the only quarterback that refused to take the shot. There were a bunch of white quarterbacks that didn't take the shot, and nobody said
lie about it the way Aaron Rodgers did.
Huh?
You gotta lie about it. He said I was inoculated, and they said okay.
Oh yeah, and I wasn't even mad. I don't even like Aaron Rodgers, to be honest with you. But he was smooth with things. I got inoculated. What does that mean? I got inoculated with the vaccine. I took something to resolve the issue. You know what I'm saying? Like. And I don't know if you remember the actress from Letitia Wright from Black Panther, T'Challa's sister.
Yes.
Like, remember when they were trying to claim that Marvel was going to fire her because for antics on screen and her stuff that she was saying about the vaccine, which is like, I wouldn't take that. Because she's of African descent, even though she was born in New Guinea. Not New Guinea. Was it New Guinea? I think it is New Guinea. Yeah. And
I guarantee, that's the vaccine. Yeah, we're talking.
Yeah, and like it's like no, she didn't. Not only did she not get fired, she actually she did $1 billion with the new Black Panther, and then they re-upped her contract. And it's like when she took a little break, that it was because they were deciding whether or not they were going to fire her. What it actually was is that she had injured herself doing a stunt, and that's how she got. That's why she was on the hiatus. Like the stuff that the nonsense that we saw flung at Black people for this, because Black people as a whole.
I want you to hold that thought, though. I don't want anybody to lose. I want to make sure I do this real quick, Nico, because
Go ahead.
So we had bat soup, we had the leak, and then we had the third one, which is a bioweapon, right? Those are the three.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask, how did COVID start? And please hold on to all that stuff because we're going to talk about it. But let me tell you something, Nico. Yes, there was a lot of people out there. The famous video of Fauci going door to door and this black man coming out and him just giving him shit. And then Fauci and his crew just turned around and walked away. They were like, fuck this shit. We're out of here. You know what I'm saying? But there were some people who were praising people out there going, way to go, right? You know, and telling other people, how fucking dare you criticize a black man for not wanting to take a shot? A black man, specifically for what they did in Tuskegee, fucking using them as lab rats. And you're going to tell a black man he needs to take a shot when they said we're going to fucking hit him up with syphilis and see what the fuck happens? Yep. Fuck you. And by the way, I just want as a side note, I'm going to say it real quickly because I want to make sure I play this for you. The three theories, right, guys? Because I want you to bat soup, a leak in the lab, which means it's accidental, bioweapon intentionally let out. Kyrie Irving, this is why I love Kyrie. Fucking paid the ultimate price, right? and really fucking took this shit. There were protests out in front of the stadium when Kyrie was not allowed to play. He was allowed to be in the stadium towards the end. Mayor Adams had this fucking, once again, Mayor Adams was playing well with doing whatever he was told at that time. So Kyrie was actually allowed to be in the stadium, but wasn't allowed to play. And they had that one game. They showed him on the sidelines, and everybody's like, are you fucking nuts? And it shows you how strong the unions are. The baseball players union, they had no pushback whatsoever. They're like, we ain't doing this. We ain't forcing somebody for a shot. They got so much power. They kind of just whitewashed that shit and changed the rules.
The NBA Association, Players Association does have that kind of power. That's what pissed me off. They just chose not to exercise it, even though they said you can't. What the Players Association says is that they can't force it on their players, but then individual teams were just punishing players individually in their own weird. It didn't make any sense. There was no consistency. And then by the way, with Kyrie Irving, I don't know if you remember that year, but so the Brooklyn Nets unexpectedly made it to the playoffs that year. They didn't know what was going to happen because it was like Kyrie couldn't play. Then there was an injury to Harden. And so it was basically just Durant by himself. Yeah. They ended up making it to the playoffs. Actually, Kyrie, you know what? How about this? How about you can't play now? Oh, what's the difference?
I mean, we're in playoffs. Stephen A. Smith criticized him. Really put a bad taste in my mouth from Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, I never.
It's a while to come back to Stephen A. Smith just because him belittling Kyrie for not wanting to take a vaccine when I thought Kyrie was taking one for the team. Like, go fucking Kyrie. You're talking about this pro-Palestinian, anti-vaccine dude who in the NBA is hardcore Zionist issue. The Zionists all over the fucking place. You can't talk bad about him. Then LeBron is facing this criticism. Steph Curry, all these guys right now, you know what I'm saying? But here you got Kyrie coming in a press conference going, man, I get the game sucked and stuff, but it's only secondary to the fact that they're dropping bombs and killing Palestinians. Saying that, wearing what is it called? The kefka? I want to say it right. Kefka. Wearing that, refusing to take a vaccine, which the religious exemption kind of plays into play, but we're not going to get over that. And by the way, if you want to look at something old school about why the baseball union has power, look at the Curt Flood story. You'll see that. That's an interesting story. Curt Flood was a black baseball player. They tried to trade him away, and he refused to take the trade. Players union stepped in, started this big battle, and it changed free agency for all. People don't even talk about Curt Flood. They should look at the Curt Flood story. It's very interesting.
It's not like the same reason they don't talk about Oscar Robertson. He's the reason that players get paid so well. Oscar Robertson was the guy, and they don't talk about it because of how intelligent he was.
So let's stick on this here real quick because I know I'm talking too much out there. Tulsi Gabbard had her farewell speech. In it, she brought some news. We're going to watch it. But I wanted to put this up because at Defeat the Mandates, and guys, we want you to call in. We're going to talk a little bit about the vaccine. We're going to talk a little bit about COVID. I'm starting to have these conversations it's called COVID from the left, right? Conversations with lefties who went along with the COVID vaccine, who went along with the protocols, all that stuff. It was very hard for me to understand because a lot of these people were in the streets with us marching against Big Pharma. All of a sudden, the COVID comes along and they think they're going to be benevolent. It's really the pharmaceutical companies, that is. Really fucking confusing. Got thrown off a stage because I didn't want to take a vaccine, take a test, or wear a mask outside. I said, fuck you, I'm not doing it. From a bunch of lefty activists. And it's kind of weird because talking to people in that same group now that we're in that group nowadays, their attitude is completely changed and it's coming around. But that's not everybody. You still see at football games, Pfizer, advertisement everywhere. You got Travis Kelce doing a commercial that says, get your flu shot and your vaccine shot, your COVID-19 vax shot all in one. So Big Pharma is still everywhere. They still have their commercials. They're still doing what they're doing. Their vaccines.
Let's look at this video, Pasta. I'm over here I don't watch Tulsi say the speech 3 times. What?
What's that?
Said, let's check out this video. I don't watch Tulsi say this speech 3 times.
Yeah, but I want to point out this is very important because JP Sears I met at the Defeat the Mandates, right? Defeat the Mandates was a group of people who got together to talk about, the vaccine, and mostly a lot of conservatives. It was head up by RFK and then all the doctors, all the frontline doctors. JP Sears, the first Defeat the Mandates, was one of the comedians who was one of the MCs, and he's been really consistent right now. He's been talking a lot about Gaza because a lot of those
recently he finally got his shit together because he fell off for a little bit. He was a little bit he he got a little Trumpy, MAGA, like anti-leftist for no reason because it was getting him a bunch
He's
of views.
coming back around a little bit, and that's a big thing because a lot
right.
of those doctors, they were pro-Israel, right? They shut up when it's like the Children's Health Defense Network, RFK, but you don't care about children in Gaza? Nah, bye. Anyways, JP Sears said this, and we're going to play the video right after. Anyone know why Tulsi waited to release this information after the statute of limitations ran out on Fauci? It's almost like political theater, but tell me if I'm missing something. So he's not just praising stuff, because you see all these people have already been just praising Tulsi Gabbard for this right here. We're going to watch this 5 minutes, guys. You're watching Drive Time. We're going to listen to Tulsi's speech. I'm here. It's Tuesday. Nico House is in the house. He has a relationship with Tulsi. He actually hooked us up with Tulsi Gabbard and got us access to the Tulsi Gabbard campaign. Very thankful for that, because I love doing the work, asking her questions at her gaggles and whatnot. But Nico is a big part of why I'm sitting here today. So it's always great to be here with him on Tuesday. You want to call in 561-247-2721, 561-247-2721. This is Tulsi Gabbard. You got 5 minutes. Refill your coffee. We'll get Nico's opinion right after.
Before the COVID pandemic, Dr. Fauci, as head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, work which is now widely viewed as the source of the unintentional lab leak that sparked the pandemic. Now, in support of President Trump's maximum transparency mandate, today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents that expose exactly how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions, the virus's lab leak origins, and his role in directing U.S. funding for this dangerous research that caused immeasurable harm and countless lost lives. Now, these documents expose Fauci's direct role in influencing and manipulating IC assessments on COVID-19, and how Fauci lied to Congress in 2024 when, under oath, he denied knowledge of or participation in discussions with intelligence officials about viral research. We also received testimony from multiple intelligence community whistleblowers who reported retaliation for challenging the intelligence community's manipulation of intelligence on the virus's origins, once again revealing a clear pattern of suppressing dissent, silencing critics, and burying the truth. Dr. Fauci's close relationships with the intelligence community enabled him to assume three key roles that shield him from scrutiny. First, Dr. Fauci funded dangerous gain-of-function coronavirus research linked to Big Pharma and their pursuit of universal vaccines worth trillions of dollars. Second, Dr. Fauci was the behind-the-scenes advisor who, alongside his hand-picked so-called experts, pushed the intelligence community to endorse a natural animal origin to hide his dangerous gain-of-function research that he funded using taxpayer dollars. All of this in a deliberate attempt to cover up the truth and shift the blame and attention away from Fauci's own actions. Third, Dr. Fauci became the nation's pandemic pundit, and he publicly pushed lies, disinformation, and censorship using every platform available. Now, according to hundreds of reviewed emails, which are included in this release, the intelligence community almost always incorporated Fauci's recommendations. He promoted a fraudulent paper whose publication he helped prompt as legitimate information for intelligence community consideration. Senior analysts praised Dr. Fauci not as a policymaker, but as what they called an unbiased guide to the real coronavirus experts, while deliberately ignoring experts who might dissent from Fauci's narratives. Now, Fauci didn't stop there. He blatantly lied to Congress under oath during his 2024 testimony to the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic, denying that he ever spoke to any intelligence agency about COVID. Now, the correspondence I'm releasing today directly contradicts his sworn testimony. Now, we received statements from multiple whistleblowers revealing that the intelligence analysts who dared to challenge Dr. Fauci's COVID origin conclusions faced threats of retaliation, marginalization, and many suffered career setbacks. For example, a contractor was terminated just days after coming forward to ODNI as a whistleblower. Another example, those who advocated for the lab leak hypothesis or expressed dissenting views were reminded by their managers that leadership would determine which analysts would be promoted and which would not. The message was clear: go along or be punished. Senior leaders also sought to undermine whistleblowers by removing anonymity, which is required in the whistleblower process, as they made their complaints, and also insisting that their managers or attorneys be present during ODNI meetings where these whistleblowers were coming forward with their testimony, obviously creating an atmosphere of intimidation. The COVID pandemic caused tremendous hardship and pain for millions of our fellow Americans and countless people around the world. Now, after years of lies and censorship and cover-ups, the American people deserve transparency, truth, and accountability. The tactics that were used to hide the truth are straight from the deep state playbook. Politicized, self-serving leaders like Dr. Fauci covered up their own wrongdoing and abuses of power, manipulated intelligence, lied to Congress, and undermined a duly elected president by restricting his access to the vital facts he needed to keep the country safe. It's time you know the truth.
Okay. Nico, I can let you have at it, or I can give you it first because I've already been looking at this and talking about this. I just want to say this much before you get started, or if you let me to if you want me to go at it. If you let me go first, you might not get to speak for a couple minutes because I'm just fucking pissed off, steaming, and fuming because even though we haven't been talking about this for quite some time. And let me just tell you something. This is something that Nico said during the middle of COVID, and he was very, very fucking proud. He gave me a lot of props for doing the work I did in COVID. He said, if you ain't talking about COVID right now, then you ain't doing the news, right? And that was in the middle of fucking
I said that.
Huh?
I forgot I said that, but it was. I remember saying it because nobody wanted to talk about the shit.
Well, the reason why, Nico, is because they were getting banned, they were getting shut down, they were getting silenced, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't talk. They didn't want to talk about it. They chose not to. But we were putting our fucking necks on the chopping block, and we quickly had to run over to Rockford and put all of our COVID videos there because they were taking down our videos, suspending our channel. By the way, we're still demonetized. They didn't give us our monetization back again after applying in late April. Again, they fucking said they haven't said anything. They're just giving us the runaround. But that's what we were doing. We're like, we're going to report on this in real time. I did my ivermectin video almost 2.5-3 months before, but Dr. Pierre Corey did it on the Dark Horse on Eric Weinstein show that went viral. And that was the whole, oh my God, there's this thing called ivermectin out there, right? So, I mean, I was so ahead of the curve in a lot of this stuff. I had great connections. I had an insider by the name of James Roguski, who's still doing work on go to his Substack. He talks about the WHO on a regular basis. But anyways, Tulsi pissed me off a little bit during COVID because she stayed silent through a lot of it. She didn't agree or disagree. But when she came out to talk, she started talking about monoclonal antibodies. Like she was selling big pharma's bullshit. I'm like, yeah, that's not like
so the monoclonal antibodies actually ended up being like counter to what big pharma wanted to be used, because I actually interviewed a doctor the other day. Yeah. At the beginning, they were using monoclonal antibodies because they were working, and then they banned them. It made it impossible to get.
Yeah, at one point, because but monoclonal antibodies, still a lot of them, the majority of them, they have patents on them, so only certain people can make them.
I don't know
why they were doing it. And it is an immune suppressant, right? Like it is not like, it's still not the ivermectin or the hydroxychloroquine, which are using those as zinc ionophores to get extra zinc into your system to kill off the viral load. You take vitamin D and vitamin C with that stuff, which all Americans are low on vitamin D. I've been going on a serious vitamin D kick to clear my skin, Nico. I'm going like, this is the last part of it. I can now report today, I would say I'm 90% healed. I'm 95% healed because I'm going heavy vitamin D and some ocean and some sun and some lanolin, which is like another thing. But anyways, that'd be the case. So she was kind of quiet on that. She came forth that, but she didn't talk about ivermectin. That was the whole point. What really pissed me off because they were doing it in other countries. So she kind of hovered around. Now this right here is pissing me off to beyond belief, because even though I haven't been talking about COVID on a regular basis, it was still in our wheelhouse. Fiorello wants to keep talking about it. It's kind of, we're circling back. People have forgotten about COVID. And I don't know what people want. I want things to change. I want to examine what happened in the past so we can build a brighter future. Some people want to fucking have people held accountable. And let me say this much to all you people out there who are praising Tulsi for this with Fauci. She's providing cover for Donald Trump, who went along with so many things. Donald Trump thought that vaccine was going to get him reelected, and he stood behind Operation Warp Speed because of it. So fuck all with that bullshit. But Nico, when she says stuff like accidental lab leak, my fucking teeth are fucking down, because no matter what, we haven't had a real fucking investigations in this. We haven't had third-party analysts over this. We haven't had hearings and talked about this to find out what she is providing, what I believe is cover for, and that's the intelligence and military apparatus, because through the Patriot Act, they were allowed to start doing this bioweapons testing, like I've said a millions of times. This is about something that is above Fauci. Fauci was just a player in this. They're trying to make him the scapegoat so they can wipe their hands.
They're trying to make him Netanyahu.
You got the cocksucker, Nico. We're done.
Hold up. They're trying to make him the Netanyahu of a genocide, basically. They're trying to pretend like
Israel and the greater Israel Zionist fucking project to begin with. Fuck out of here. Netanyahu is not the problem. Zionism is the problem.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, when she's talking about this accidental leak, right? It'd be a little different if she said alleged, because then I would assume it's maybe a legal thing. That's why she doesn't want to say it is, it was a bioweapon. But I don't hear any calls for a legitimate investigation. So it's part of Trump's transparency. I don't give a damn. Yeah, transparency helps, but what's transparency without accountability? Because the point of the transparency, it's not really transparent.
It's transparent for what they want to tell you.
Exactly, which is on purpose, because they don't want anybody held accountable. Like JP said, why would you do this after the statute of limitations? I mean, not that he could be held accountable anyway, because I believe that Joe Biden already offered him a pardon, right? He ordered him a pardon before Trump took office, so it wouldn't even matter, to be completely honest with you. But it's all
we got a call coming in.
We do. All right, so you know why? And I'm just going to answer the question real quickly. It's because she's providing cover for the CIA. Yeah. She's whitewashing. So many people were brave. They wanted to come forward, but they couldn't because Fauci wouldn't let them. The fuck.
But it's not just the CIA. It's every. I mean, there were multiple bodies of intelligence and
CIA was involved.
And elites.
CIA was involved.
I mean, it was, bro. Right to this day, I gotta say this because it's really important that people understand. To this day, y'all do know those pharmaceutical companies are still reliant on the money they got from those vaccines almost 5-6 years ago. Yeah. That's how they're running their businesses off of those.
With emergency use authorization, you can't sue them. Caller, who are you and where are you calling from? You're here with me and Nico House.
Hey, Pasta. Hey, Nico. It's Choosy in Jersey again.
What's up, man?
Tuesday, Choosy.
How about that? Yeah, man. Fauci, where do we begin? Couple of key points, right? Ace historians of Jesuits recognized Order of Malta books on his bookshelf in the New York Times article Photograph, top left. The photograph is easily available online. The title of the article was, "What is Fauci Reading?" or something like that. And another key point is he confessed to being groomed by Jesuits from a young age in a national public radio interview. I heard it live, and I tried to find it in the NPR archives, but I'm not a member, so maybe I don't have access to that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it, but it was with a male interviewer, and it's towards the end of the interview, and it was, years ago now, but that's really important because MTG and Rand Paul and anybody else supposedly tough talking or criticizing him doesn't mention the Jesuits or the Knights of Malta, which is a huge piece of the puzzle, because it's not just the lone madman or him and Gates conspiring, or what. like a stupid movie plot they want us to think.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's the Jesuit. Yeah, it's the Jesuits. It's the Jesuit Archbishop. Timothy Dolan was the de facto dictator for the last 17 years. And the Grand Master of Order of Malta is currently a Canadian immigration lawyer named John Dunlap, who is certified in both Ontario and New York bar. And although he's new for only a couple of years, he knows plenty, I bet.
Yeah.
And so those are the key points about him.
Yeah.
All right.
Choosy, can
So
I
we
can I
have
can I
him
jump
by
Choosy? Choosy. Can I jump in? I just want to provide some context to the audience what you're saying real quick too as well. So because
Thank
this has been a debate. What's that?
Sure.
I can jump in real quick, Choose?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool. Just hang with me.
Absolutely, sir.
Hang with me. I want to explain what's going on. So Choosy
Thank you.
comes to us and talks to us about, right? See, now I think there's a sense from people out there, Nico, and I'll let you also give your opinions on this, right? So people see a lot of the ball statues and the burning down, and they look at the Epstein kind of situation. Epstein now hitting the mainstream. It was in the background, but now hitting the mainstream. People talking about Fauci and the cultists around them, that there is a government within a government. There's a small group of people out there running things behind the scenes, manipulating governments, hiding out there. I think the debate right now is we have David Crow was in the chat. David Crow will be one of those. He called in, and he'll be the Zionists, blaming the Zionists as those in control. And there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of work. James Lee, I can think for one, is for one guy. Matt Weinglass, my friend, and stuff like that, pointing out the obvious things in front of our face, that the Zionists are somehow controlling everything. Choosy has a different theory, right? So Choosy's theory is looking at the Knights of the Jesuit order, right? Is it the Knights of Malta, I think, is it? The Jesuit order it goes back to. When Matt Weinglass kind of gets on with Jay Scott, you know Jay Scott. Yeah. Jay Scott is more about the Jesuits and kind of like thinking that the Vatican has more power than the Zionists. At the end of the day, what I think it's important about these discussions is to start looking and understanding. I don't know exactly who's calling the shots. However, I do know that I feel that there's a government within a government. There is a secret society that are calling the shots. And I love Choosy's theory because his solution is one of peace. He's different than me. I want to start hanging some motherfuckers. And I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm a peaceful guy. I'm known as a nice guy. I don't give a shit what these kids did to children. They use children as our currency. They've just led death and destruction everywhere around the world. They need to be made an example Mussolini style. Shit has run very smoothly in Italy since they hung up Mr. Mussolini. But that's just true. My theory, right?
You'd be hard-pressed to find an Italian that wants to leave Italy. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
So now here is Snow saying they are all part of the same apocalyptic death cult. This started all the way back in Babylon. And these are discussions that we need to have right now because I think people are starting to see what's going on. And obviously, I think more importantly, why I love Choosy is he brings in some solutions. So the question is, who is pulling the strings right now? Not just in the United States, not just in Europe, but the whole world, Nico. And I don't know if you have an opinion about that, but maybe you can throw it out there and then Choosy can respond after. Okay?
So my argument would be, why can't it be both? Right? I like the Jesuits because if you call them the Jesuits, right? And if they went by the Jesuits, it would be very easy to research their history. And people would be able to challenge them and put out their information to the public and expose their true agenda. So yeah, maybe they call themselves Zionists now, but I mean, why? How do we know the Zionists aren't the Jesuits and they just rebranded themselves? I mean, we've seen that time. I mean, they at one point they went by Jews, right? Like just as, oh, we're Jewish, we don't have to call ourselves Zionists. And then whenever you look at the oh man, what was that deal that was done? The Balfour Declaration, and then you look at what happened with Hitler. How the Zionists were somehow excluded from all of the tyranny that Hitler rained down on the Jews in Germany, and they were able to maintain their political party and also their political influence in Germany, but the other Jews were not allowed to, right? Clearly, this is a different class of individuals. They might have went by Jews because maybe, you know, at that time, you know, you're talking about going that far back, they probably were quote unquote Jewish by ethnicity or regionality. But at the end of the day, it's probably the same people. Call them Zionists, call them Jesuits. I think it's important to point out how that history connects so that people do understand who we're dealing with, right? Yeah. But you know, I don't think that people are wrong when they say, "Oh, Zionists are you know running basically everything," especially after what we've seen the last 3-4 days, right? You know, as Israel continues attacking Lebanon, knowing that they're deliberately putting in jeopardy this ceasefire deal, this MOU, and then instead of Trump holding Israel accountable, he threatens Iran for Israel not holding up the U.S.'s end of the bargain. So that lets us know who's running the show. It's Zionists. Now you can say that those Zionists are foundationalized in this Jesuit order, and I probably would agree with you. So I just think that we should maybe not be like, no, it's not Zionist. Like, yeah, it's Zionist, but it's deeper than that. That's my only thing, because I feel like some people like it's hard for people to not connect to Zionism because it's happening right in front of them. And if you say, well, it's not Zionist, it's Jesuit, then I guess they feel like they're taking the eye off the ball. But if you're like, nah, it's Zionism and this is where it originated from, I feel like it's a little bit easier for people to understand.
And Choosy, I'm going to hand it to you. I'm going to tell you why it's important to kind of recognize these things, because there is this whole kind of mentality that if we get rid of the Zionist, everything will fall back into place, right? If we cut off AIPAC, if we stop funding Israel, if we get rid of the problem and the conflation between this populist right, you know, get rid of the Jews. And I keep saying it's not Jews, it's Zionists. It's totally different right now, because there are some loving Jews out there that want to, you know what I'm saying, that don't agree in Zionism. And I got to take my hat off for some of them. Right? Like, we know some of them, Max Blumenthal, Aaron Mate, Katie Halper, and I don't agree with them on a lot of things, but, you know, for them to stand up right now and say, not in my name. Dan Cohen has done that. He hates me right now. We've argued because he got Haiti wrong, but that's okay.
You know, he got what?
He got Haiti wrong, you know, but that's a whole nother thing. Jimmy Barbecue is not a fucking revolutionist, and they got that wrong, and that's a whole big thing. I don't want to get into it, but Choosy, go ahead. I'll let you get in there and talk about this, because I do believe Fauci, whatever death cult it is, was part of that whole death cult. But to have him be the fall guy for the apparatus, like the military and the intelligence community that does all this shit, this testing, to me, they're trying to whitewash it when she says whistleblowers within the CIA wanted to come forward, but they couldn't because they were intimidated.
Give me a fucking break.
Fuck you. Stop fucking providing cover for the CIA. Go ahead, Choosy.
Those poor whistleblowers from the CIA. Those poor CIA analysts.
Poor CIA analysts.
Yeah, that's a good segue for me to come back in, because the intelligence agencies and all of the other toxic immune entities and NGOs are invariably founded by order of Malta minions. They dominate all sectors, deep state and beyond. And until recently, we had solid numbers on them. 3,500 roster in the USA alone, out of a total global roster of 13,500.
Choosy got the numbers. He bringing the receipts over. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. Choosy, I got to interrupt. Choosy bringing the fucking numbers and the receipts over here. You understand exactly what the fuck's going on with homeboy. Go ahead, big guy.
Yeah, and then, you know, let's follow the money to have a proper sense of proportionality. All right, the Vatican royal family bloodlines are that 1%, or, you know, I mean, they're so small, it's less than 1%, but they hold all of the world's wealth for practical analysis. All right. So let's be realistic about this, okay? Jesuit Israel is a Roman fabrication. And if you take all of the Jewish money in the whole world and compare it to all of the inducted, corrupted Roman money, it's
that's
like
true.
A spit in a bucket. Yeah.
That's true.
You know, so we got to keep it in proportion. Jesuit
Can I?
Zionist.
I just want to elaborate on your point a little bit to help people understand just how influential that Roman Vatican money is. They're still out here. I mean, for lack of a better phrase, they're out here raping little boys and still able to be just avoid accountability. They're still able to avoid accountability. Like I feel like there's a whole, we have these moments in history where the Catholic Church gets exposed and the Vatican gets exposed for helping those priests escape accountability. It's a huge deal for 3 or 4 months. And then people just move on. Like this massive institution wasn't facilitating priests escape accountability for sexually assaulting little kids. And you know how you can get away with that? The same way you get away with genocide. But except for this has been happening far longer than, with the Vatican. This has been happening in the Catholic Church. It's been happening far longer than the genocide in Palestine.
Yeah. And Chuzy, can you elaborate a little bit more on when you say that the Zionist money is just a drop in the bucket? Because, David Crow, who's my friend, he was here hanging out, having some coffee, will say they own all the banks. They control all the money, right? Like, the Christianity was a psyop for the Jews. It's a Jewish God. And it was a psyop, once again, for the Zionists. You know what I'm saying? So, and I have a hard time. I have a hard time when people.
I can see that's emotional line of thinking, and not differentiating between subjective and objective observation. Yeah, which is the first step in therapeutic thinking, the 4-step process of doing a SOAP note, SOAP, subjective, objective assessment plan. We have to differentiate our subjective and objective measurement and observation. Otherwise, we screw it up. And there's really no debate about the hierarchy of control. It's all documented and verifiable, but people who think from their stomach and with their emotions instead of just, actually doing real research and cross-referencing until they can actually own and differentiate the information accordingly are just flailing. And really what they're doing is they become controlled opposition by default, whether they understand what they're doing or not. I'm glad that you stopped me, because it's important to distinguish that the key phrase is Luciferian militancy. It's how the Jesuits and of Malta have described themselves. And that's not religion. So the claims of Jesuits and Knights of Malta being Catholic organization is not true. It's not true because if you look at the definitions, it doesn't mesh up. All right. So Catholics don't need to be self-loathing, and neither do Jewish people, because it's religion. And they're just hiding behind whoever. And if we don't understand how the rulers of evil have been coerced, intimidated into corruption themselves, then we're not finding the empathy to unwind it. The story of how Ignatius Loyola himself was corrupted. He was arrested under the Dominican papacy, the Dominican order which preceded the Jesuits before the relabeling during the Reformation. He crawled in on his hands and knees expecting to be executed into audience with the Pope at the time, and instead the Pope handed him a papal bull saying, okay, you're going to relabel the Dominican order and or die. So he walked out upright with his papal bull, and then they, the other people like him also arrested and given the do or die mission. They wrote the Jesuit oath of induction, but really they were just describing what the Dominican order was already doing.
All right.
And then they made the IHS placard of Rome, Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far too fast. We're getting ahead of ourselves and getting to the next lesson before we're finished with the first one. It's like that's and listen, and I appreciate your calls.
You got spoon feed it.
We got to spoon feed. We got to go a little bit. You start talking about other groups and you start losing. I still want to stay on top of this. Last question for you though, but I want to ask you, Choose, and I thank you so much for your conversation because it's important, right? Like people are thinking objectively or subjectively, and whatever the case may be. They're thinking subjectively and not objectively, and that's what we need to do, right? We can't react upon our emotions. We have to see exactly what's in front of us. And you made a statement too as well. They're hiding behind these religions. There are good people of good faith, good Jewish people who are anti-Zionist, who don't want to go along with this death cult. And that's why I don't use the term Jewish. And I hate when people say, Dan Bilzerian calling somebody a fat Jew. He's definitely a fucking fed in my mind, but that's beside the point. I don't want you to go too long with this, but I want you to give me the elevator pitch to all this going on, Choosy. Where do Masons fit in? Because I think people understand the term Mason and they know what a Mason is. Where do the Masons fit in all of this?
Masons are the low bricks in the Roman pyramid. They don't even know what's going on until the higher degrees. They just think it's, they want brotherhood. They want maybe a marketing network advantage and some of the other fringe benefits that they get. They do secret things in the lodge. They get a belly dancer or whatever. But they don't find out that it's just Roman secret society also, but it's the low bricks of the pyramid, and it's a recruiting grounds for, maybe getting inducted into Skull and Bones or maybe the Knights of Columbus or, who knows?
The Masons definitely, I feel like they're giving too much credit for influence that they don't actually have. Maybe at one point in history they had it, but it's like junior varsity secret society. Basically, it's not as influential as what people think it is. Most people who join to receive benefits, not necessarily to be directly involved with the influence.
Connect the dots. The Immune Order of Malta can cross borders with whatever and whoever they want. Okay, and then the Mason halls can spread that stuff. All right, so or people, and the Mason halls are also directly, not in every locality, but in a general sense, directly connected with the street gangs. All right, that's the connection. Because
with the what?
That's where they're getting the drugs from and stuff. I mean, the drugs aren't really.
Hold on. Say that last part. Say that last part again. You said they're directly connected with who?
Like Knights of Malta. Knights of Malta are doing what the bulk of the smuggling. They dominate all sectors, deep state and beyond. They can smuggle whatever in their own planes and in their own privately owned companies. Right.
But you said that they're connected to who? You said they're connected to who? The street gangs. Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah,
they got the money.
That's where they're getting their stuff from. Yeah. That's
all right. Let's Choosy. Yeah. Let's not get off into another. Hold on, Choose. Yeah. Can you hear me? I don't want to get too far into this. I don't want to get off on another topic. I think that's enough. Knights of Malta study 101 for the day. I think I love when you call in and I just want you to say I want you to say
one last thing. Remember,
I want you to just say what the solution is. Good.
Yeah, the solution. Yeah. You never.
And I want you to be quick about it. You gotta get to the next call.
Yeah, never explain the corruption of the Jesuit order without explaining the peaceful, constitutional, only actual proven solution like Portugal 1974. All right, that's what the solution is going to look like. It's a historical, constitutional, legal precedence, and we should all be gutted with shame that we've ignored it for 52 years. It's a constant option, and it just requires the standing military officers to unite cohesively, claim the constitutional keys in higher authority than the immune Romans to face the constitutional crisis. And then they can convene the military tribunal authority, and then they can send out the captains to make the simple arrests, peaceful arrests, because there's not going to be any executions, and there's going to be dignity for the exiles. And that's how it works.
There's a flaw in that plan, isn't there? Wouldn't that assume that the higher ups in the military aren't involved?
There are corrupt people in the military, but they are a minority, and the good people in the military know who they are. And it's the same thing with them. There's not going to be executions for treason. That's ridiculous. We're going to just lay the whole system of abuse to rest. And see, if we become vengeful, then we become Romans by default. And we have to think like therapists. We really do. And please look at the soap note format thing and learn how to think like a doctor, a nurse, a therapist, please. We all need to do that in order to. Yeah.
Link it in the chat. Link it in the chat. I think that was awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
I love the fact that Snow.
I'm always there in the chat.
What's that, buddy?
Much love, you guys.
Thank you, Choose. He's always in the chat, hanging on out. We love you, brother.
Yeah,
I love the fact that. Chat. What's that, buddy?
I'm always in the chat. Sorry about the delay and the noise and all that. My Quasar refrigerator kicked in like Bobby Weir in the background. I'll talk to you guys maybe next week, because I don't want to hog it up, and I'm already a chat hog. Right? Much love, no fear.
You got it. And if you got that thing that you were talking about, the way, the pattern we have to choose, like a therapist, you said you had something, feel more free to link it in the chat. We appreciate you calling in.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that Snow Himbo. Go ahead.
You love what?
I love the fact that Snow Himbo. There's a guy, Snow Himbo. He's in the chat. He was just kind of like piggybacking off what you were saying, so it was a good conversation. We all know Snow. He's part of the fam.
Yeah, I'm going to log back into YouTube and have a look at what he said. Thanks so much, Pasta.
You got it, buddy.
It was an honor to speak with you.
As always, man.
Take care.
Yeah, man. I would love to see the military elite, the military high brass come together, and I just, from my experience in the military, I just feel like there are way too many of them actively involved.
Yeah. There was a theory. There was a theory at one point, and this is QAnon-ish, that the military was so disgusted with what the elites were doing with the Jeffrey Epstein situation and the Clintons and people like that, and abusing their power, that they recruited Donald Trump to come in there and to blow it all up.
Yeah, no, they don't.
We got another call.
No, so you said we got another call?
Yeah, let's just jump in. We'll talk about that theory after. But yeah, we all know it was a bullshit theory. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
OCO, my friends. You want to come back to hang with my homies Nico and Pasta in the building. How y'all doing today?
What's up, Yona?
I'm doing fantastic.
You supposed to give us a yee?
I was listening to Choosy Heretics breaking it down to the last compound. I'm always learning things whenever Choosy is talking about all that Malta and Mason and stuff. And when I heard about that, I was thinking about this documentary that I watched the other day about Cabo Verde or Cape Verde. For those that aren't familiar, it's right off the western coast of Africa. It's a group of islands not far off the coast of Senegal, and it was a primary colony of Portugal. And that's actually where a lot of Africans were shipped from the west coast of Africa down to Brazil. And And so I was really getting into that, and I found out that the Portuguese were doing the same thing as the Spanish with this all right, let me see here. I got to read this correctly. The requerimiento, and the requerimiento was drafted by the Council of Castile and approved by the Pope, and it was actually a piece of paper. It was a scroll that they would read whenever they landed in the New World, whether, you know, in South America, Central America, or North America. They would actually read out this requirement, this pronouncement.
What is that? What was it called?
To the defeated Indians.
What would you call it?
It was
What
called the
caliente?
requirement. The requerimiento, or requirement in English.
Oh, heki. Okay. Okay, got you.
And it was, let's see,
Requerimento. Just for those
right.
of you who,
That's right.
Requerimento, sí.
And so I was just going to give you all just a little taste of what every one of the Guarani Indians in Brazil, what every one of the Calusa and Taino and Lucayan tribes would be hearing in Dominican Republic and Haiti and all the other places as the conquista, or the conquest, arrived. When they would meet Indians, like, for example, when Cristobal Colon, or Christopher Columbus, as it were, when he first met an Indian chief whose name was Wakanagari, chief of the Taino, that, I believe, is the first time that this was actually read in the United States. So I've got this pulled up here. I'm just going to read the English translation for the benefit of my English speakers out here today, because y'all know Yona gets into all kinds of languages. Bon dia. So I'm just going to read just the middle part of this because it's really long and I don't want to take up a lot of time, leave time for other callers too. So let's go right to the heat of the meat here. So in other words, Columbus would have read this out in 1492 on the island of Hispaniola, which is Dominican Republic, and the west half is Haiti. So let's see here. Of all these nations, this is from the requirement of 1510. Of all these nations, God our Lord gave charge to one man called St. Peter, that he should be Lord and superior of all the men in the world, that all should obey him, and he should be the head of the whole human race, wherever men should live and under whatever law, sect, or belief they should be. And he gave them the world for his kingdom and jurisdiction. And he, St. Peter, commanded him to place his seat in Rome as the spot most fitting to rule the world from, but also he permitted him to have his seat in any other part of the world, and to judge and govern all Christians, Moors, that's Muslims, Jews, Gentiles, and all other sects. This man was called the Pope, as if to say, the Admiral, Great Father, and Governor of all men. The men who lived in that time obeyed that St. Peter and took him for Lord, King, and Superior of the universe. So also they have regarded the others who after him have been elected to the pontificate, and so has it been continued even until now, and will continue until the end of the world. So there's the introductory section. Let's go to the threat part now, because he keeps going on and on. He goes through the whole succession at the Rome. This is a really long thing. All right, here is the end. All right. So
Come on, Yona, you're getting dead air.
Kings and lords. I'm sorry. Are you here? Are you there?
Go, hit it. Go.
All right. So their highnesses are kings and lords of these islands and land of the terra firma by virtue of this donation, and some islands, indeed almost all those to whom this has been notified, have received and served their highnesses as lords and kings in the way that loyal subjects ought to do, with goodwill, without any resistance, immediately and without delay, and when they are informed of these aforesaid facts. And also they received and obeyed the priests, whom their highnesses sent to preach to them and teach them our holy faith. And all these of their own free will, without any reward or condition, have become Christians, and are so, and their highnesses have joyfully and benignantly received them, and also have commanded them to be treated as their subjects and vassals. And you too are held and obliged to do the same. Wherefore, as best we can, we ask and require you that you consider what we have said to you, and that you take time necessary to understand and deliberate upon it. You acknowledge the church as the ruler and superior of the whole world, and the high priest called the Pope, and in his name the king and queen Doña Juana, our lords, in his place, as superiors and lords and kings of these islands and this terra firma, by virtue of the said donation, and that you consent and give place that these religious fathers should declare and preach to you the aforesaid. So that's basically saying, if you accept our requirement, you will be our loyal subjects, and we're going to run your place, and we're going to rule you. And here's the very last paragraph, the threat. This is where it gets nasty. If you do so, you will do well, and that which you are obliged to do to your highnesses, and we in their name shall receive you in all the love and charity, and shall leave you and leave your wives and your children and your lands free without servitude, slavery, that you may do with them and with yourselves freely that which you like and think best, and they shall not compel you to turn Christians, unless you yourselves, when informed of the truth, should wish to be converted to our holy Catholic faith, as almost all the inhabitants of the rest of the islands have already done for us. And besides this, their highnesses award you many privileges and exemptions, and will grant you many benefits. But if you do not do this, and maliciously make delay in it, I certify to you that, with the help of God, we shall powerfully enter your country, and we shall make war against you in all ways and manners that we can. We shall subject you to the yoke and obedience of the church and of their highnesses. We shall take you and your wives and your children and make slaves of all of them. We shall sell and dispose of them as their highnesses may command. We shall take away all your goods and shall do you all the mischief and damage that we possibly can, as to vassals who do not obey and refuse to receive their lord and resist and contradict him. And we protest that any deaths and losses which shall accrue thus are your fault, and not of the highnesses or ours, nor of these cavaliers who have come with us. And that we have said this to you and made this requisition, we request the notary here present to give us his testimony in writing, and we ask the rest who are present that they should be witnesses of this requisition.
That's
it.
So,
That's it.
break it down in a nutshell, Yona. This is
In a
all because Cape
nutshell-
Verde made the World Cup. We get this history lesson. I love it, baby. Go ahead into it.
Well,
People were
basically,
looking
in
up
a
Cape Verde on a
nutshell,
map.
The requirement basically was, okay, we're here. We got the swords. The Pope has got our back. The crown in Spain has our back. So all y'all here need to immediately lay down, bow down, worship us, pledge your allegiance to us, and just give us everything that you have. Or if you don't just give us everything and surrender, we're just going to kick your butt and take you as slaves and ruin your country and steal all your stuff and praise God. That's pretty much it.
Praise God.
It's
All this
amazing to
was
me
Cape
they
Verde
actually
play on
wrote
the
that
pitch.
down. And most Americans never heard about it, Pasta. That's why I shared it today.
No, I appreciate you bringing it too. And like I said, because of Cape Verde playing in the World Cup, we get to hear some stuff. Most people they won't know where half these countries are from, and at least they'll go look it up. And I love seeing different fans of different cultures in the stadiums together. Once again, the beautiful thing about sports is that it could really cut across racial and religious lines and bring people together over a common goal of kicking a ball and putting it in the back of an onion bag. And I love that about the sports. And sometimes, I mean, this sport is the world sport, right? It's played everywhere. So it's very interesting.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm really glad you brought that up, Pasta. I know the last time that I spoke with you guys, I was pointing out some of the flaws that needed to be pointed out with the gross mismanagement of this year's FIFA World Cup in North America. That being said, I watched a lot of clips this week, and I really have to give it up to with the fan bases that I've seen, particularly I'm shouting out the Netherlands, Norway, Scotland, Germany. Like, I've seen some massive fan followings out there, and they, I've seen a lot of just really good, the essence of sport, where everyone is getting together and having fun, and there's a real exchange of customs and cultures and everything. And so despite everything that's going wrong with the World Cup, this still is the world's sport and a celebration of international brotherhood and good sportsmanship. And so, they're still having a good tournament. Granted, there's a lot of mismanagement, and, FIFA has a lot of corruption. We know this with Sepp Blatter and everything that's going on with FIFA for years. But I really had to give credit to the fan base and to so many of these teams that are showing up, like Cabo Verde, like Cote d'Ivoire, that are really, really introducing a lot of Americans.
The Ivory Coast.
Shout out Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah, I like them because of Drogba. I used to play FIFA when I used to beat up on Nico playing FIFA. You had to
what? That never happened.
Down.
It never happened.
No,
I was speaking that word to my nephew the other day.
Yeah, listen, and what Yona's pointing out too, this is the world sport. Really, at the end of the day, I'm going to bag on Misty Winston, right? Hating on the Knicks fans. Oh, the Knicks fans could be the worst, whatever. Like, I don't even like Ohio State, but when they won the title 2 years ago, I was like, listen, I'm not an Ohio State fan, but I'm so happy for the team, for the players. The New York Knicks, I'm so happy for the team, for the players. The World Cup, these kids who get a chance to get over there, I'm so happy for the players themselves to get to do this and stuff like that. Let's not let the fans ruin anything.
Also, come on.
Let's show
Ohio
love
State,
the players.
Ohio State. My best friend's a Michigan fan. I done seen how Ohio State fans get down. I done seen how y'all gets down in the rivalry game when y'all, boy, what? Michigan and Ohio State fans, y'all be going at it like y'all are at war for real. They be fighting more than the damn players do. Come on now.
And here's the thing, Nico. There's always going to be a bad few. There's always going to be some idiots. They're not going to cast a
shadow
over everybody else. There are good fans. There are bad fans. Every place got bad fans. The Dodgers had bad. Matt Weinglass having the same argument. The big story is Knicks fans beating up Spurs fans outside the stadium. That's the big story from the 2
And to be clear, Knicks players have been honestly, this is probably one of the classiest teams that we have ever had. They are, overall,
good kids.
They're very humble, confident, obviously, but very humble. They're all family men for the most part. They're, they look out for each other. They're good to the fans. They give back to the community. They don't act too big for their britches. They had their problems with Wemby, but actually the problems with Wemby, because they came from Wemby actually being, he was engaging in a lot of bad sportsmanship. The dude was literally trying to take out OG Anunoby, right? He elbowed Jalen Brunson.
John Kreese,
like that.
Keep the leg.
Huh?
You got a problem with that?
For real. Literally, man. It was so that that's like, but that's healthy player rivalry. Cool. But outside of that, man, like
when I think about the New York Knicks, I think about the old Georgetown Hoya center that played for them, Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing. He was a great ambassador for the sport, soft-spoken, real class act. I just wanted to respond to Nico's comment about the rivalry between Columbus and Lansing. The Wolverines playing the Buckeyes. That's Michigan versus Ohio. That is a particularly historical rivalry because I believe the only time in United States history where two states fought armed combat over where the state line would be. There was the Wolverine War that was fought between settlers in Ohio and settlers in Michigan. Michigan was a territory. Ohio was already a state. Michigan was trying to claim all of Toledo down to the Maumee River, like some 50 miles south of Detroit. And Ohio was like, oh, hell no. We're already a state. y'all can't take this. So what happened was the U.S. government made a deal. They stole the northern half of Wisconsin and gave the northern half of Wisconsin to Michigan. That's now called the Michigan Upper Peninsula. In return, Michigan had to give up their bogus claim to Toledo, and Michigan had to accept where the Ohio boundary line had already been run. And the only way Michiganders would accept that is if they got to take the northern half of Wisconsin. So that's how Michigan ended up with with the Upper Peninsula, and that's why till to this day there is no love between Ohio and Michigan.
Historical context to why the Wolverines and Buckeyes go toe to toe and get crazy.
And
ladies and gentlemen,
sports guys, and
we
sports
love
guys
you, Yona.
are still punishing both states with the Detroit Lions and the Cleveland Browns. And
that's right.
So you
That's
guys
right.
grow
Now we're
up.
getting into
We're not
real
going to give you a good football team.
Those are good. Those are good.
Even though Detroit's actually pretty nice now, finally.
Lions, yeah. Come on now, Yona, we love you.
Well, that's all I had for you guys. I don't want to take up all the
That's
time.
all
I'm
we're
gonna
gonna
let
give
other
you,
talk,
pal.
please.
That's all we're gonna give you, pal. We love you. Get out of here. Call back in soon. Thank you, Yona. That's Yona. That's some great historical context there, and it is kind of cool.
Love you guys. Take care.
These are the things you get. Love you too. These are the things you get when you give a team in the World Cup. You know what I'm saying? Like just it's awesome. Cape Verde, and we get this whole story about what's going on, connecting it to colonization, imperialism, slavery. You know what I'm saying? Even the connection between Ohio State and Michigan, I thought that was great.
It's funny. I'm gonna give you a fun fact. So when I first moved here to Brazil, people kept asking me, was I from Camp Verde? Well, they would say Campo Verde. Like Cape Verde. Why the hell would I be from there? Angola, okay, I got it, but so I was kind of like I knew about Angola, I knew about Mozambique, but I didn't know about Cape Verde. And I'm like, why do you keep asking me that? And then it was like maybe 3-4 months later, I figured out. I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a Portuguese colony.
Because you got this Caribbean vibe here, right? Like when you showed up at my baby sister, baby shower.
We got a call coming in.
We got when you showed up at my baby shower. Even my mother, when she met you the first time, a couple of people are like, he's got a Caribbean vibe to him. Is he from the Dominican or something? So yeah, because it was the shoes you were wearing. You wear those shoes that were like. I swear to God, Don Johnson would get jealous of the shoes that Nico would wear and said, I wish I had those back in the Miami Vice days. He wear them with no socks and some pants. He just a squillionaire looking out there, my boy. I love him. Caller, who are you? Where you calling from?
Hi. This is Lucy. I'm calling from New York.
Hi, Lucy.
Ooh.
Hi, how are you?
We love it when females call in the show. We don't want just a sausage fest around here. We want some other voices out there. So I appreciate. And tomorrow, our co-host will be Karen Kwiatkowski, retired Lieutenant General Karen Kwiatkowski. So if you call in tomorrow on top of today, Julie.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Yeah. What's that?
You said General, Lieutenant Colonel.
Lieutenant Colonel. But let's let the caller get some voice in there. I'm sorry to interrupt, my dear. Go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Am I on the YouTube show? Hold on. Let me.
Yes, you're on the YouTube.
You are.
You're on the Rumble.
Oh, okay. All right. Pasta Nico, I really like your show. I don't always agree with everything, but it is what it is. But I think we actually get too wrapped up in that, and I actually realized myself kind of getting wrapped up in that a few years, for a few years, whether I agree with this or whether I agree with that. And ultimately what I realized is that it doesn't really matter. And I ended up kind of like withdrawing and quitting Twitter and all of that. And I ended up writing something that I wanted to send you guys because I think it's really important for anyone that actually makes the effort to produce all of this independent media the way you do, that it doesn't really matter like who we agree with or don't agree with. Really, it's more of a matter of are you guys one of us or one of them? Really, like that's what it comes down to.
Amen.
And I think you're both very honest, and you put a lot of hard work into your craft.
Yeah.
I guess you can, you could
By the
say
way,
you
is
put
it
a lot of time and effort
Yeah.
and a lot of, and
is your name Julia or Julie?
uh,
Julia or Julie?
I think she said Lucy.
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 I gotta write this down, Lucy. I
Yeah.
think you said
Pasta names, man.
Yeah.
I'm
He can remember
bad.
every
Yeah.
name of every actress from
And,
every movie.
He called me Chris once.
Yeah, you guys know me already. I'm Blue Moon Red Wine. I used to go by Blue Moon Red Wine.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
Lucy.
But
What are you
I said
doing? How
everything.
you been?
I'm good. Yeah, I've just been doing my own life. I just do my own. I just don't, I try not to get too involved. These days, I just, don't want to
Drain yourself emotionally, mentally.
Yeah, exactly. I'm knitting. I don't even want to get stressed out anymore. But yeah, I wanted to send you guys this though. And
Yeah.
the reason I wanted to send it to you guys is because I noticed that there are so many kind of Zionists deployed in independent media, and they'll be on every side. They'll be liberals, they'll be communists, anarchists, or and I realized a lot of it is, who are these people? And I was watching The Hill the other day, and I noticed that one of the reporters was someone I knew from my high school. Okay. And I was like, why is this woman on the television, right? And she was actually the daughter of Oliver Coppell, who's a local DA in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And he's retired now, but this guy Oliver Coppell, who was backing Jasmine Croquet, he was the guy that accused Leonard Jeffries, who is Hakeem Jeffries' uncle, of anti-Semitism. At the time, he was working as a African American Department of the African American Studies Department, or something like that, and of CUNY, and he said that rich Jews ran the slave trade. He said something like this, and he got accused of anti-Semitism. He had to go to the local district court, and Oliver Coppell reversed the ruling in a way that, basically he was able to keep his job. But Oliver Coppell accused him of anti-Semitism, and he lost his job for a while. He got his job back, and then Oliver Coppell pushed the case to the Supreme Court, right? And that's what they're trying to do now, but on the national level, making anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism into anti-Semitism, and passing all of these anti-free speech laws.
Was this high school associate on The Hill, or excuse me, on Breaking Points to talk about this?
No, she was just there promoting Jasmine Croquet. It's just that I recognized her, and I was like, oh, she is the daughter of this. And then I was like, wait, who was that guy? Because I remembered that people in my high school were like, oh, that's the daughter of a influential politician. And then I looked him up, and he was the one that was passing all of these anti-Semitism laws in New York, right? Mm-hmm. And so I guess what I'm saying is that a lot of independent media, I think you guys are doing a great job. I just wanted to add my piece into this, which is and also my guilt for really being such a terrible troll on Twitter. That I spent a lot of time worrying about who I agree or disagree with, instead of really looking for allies. And what I realized is that you really have to look at who these people's families are. All of these journalists, whether it's on The Hill or the gray zone, a lot of people don't like it when I say that, but you have to look at who these people's families are, because a lot of independent media is, that's the case for you guys, despite any disagreements or whatever I've had. and I really think like I beg you guys to like read it really, because like I put a lot of like work into it, because I had
Can I
a
ask
lot of
you a
like
question,
conflict
Lucy?
with this.
Lucy, can I ask you a question
Yeah.
really quick? Can you tell us the title of what that? If it's in an article or just a
Yes.
piece, tell us the title.
I titled it, and I'm always adding chapters, by the way. Every time I find something out about one of these journalists and who actually like runs them, I put up another chapter, but I labeled it, I put it on my Twitter. It's called The American Guide to Fake Independent Media. Or that's what I called it. And it's really like, it was really like, just because I noticed that I had spent so much time criticizing people that were really like putting in so much time, effort, work, when I really should have been exposing these incestuous Zionist families. Like that's really what it is. Like, and these people, and so a lot of them have great things to say. Like a lot of them come across as anti-Zionist, you know, like, you know, they'll have an opinion to put out there that you agree with, and then you'll latch onto it and say, oh, this person, I really agree with them on this. They sound very logical. But like, the thing is, it's kind of like, you know,
let me just, I think what you're saying is basically, it's very important for people to exercise discernment, because just because somebody's saying something you agree with doesn't mean that they're on your team. Just like somebody who's saying something you might disagree with on a particular issue doesn't mean that they're against you, right? And so some people confuse it too. Some people believe that just because we agree, I've learned this, you know, I learned this years ago, but you know, it was to a detriment to a degree, because I refuse, even if I agreed with somebody, didn't mean that I was going to support them or promote them if I knew that their intentions were not good. I didn't care, right? Because I knew that, you know, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but when they,
you know, like,
go ahead.
I agree. Yes, 100%. And we get, like, I've gotten caught up with that, you know, because like I like to argue, and you know, you know, I'm like, but you know.
You like to argue, Lucy?
Stop, you know, because
Lucy,
like,
you like to argue? No. You ever see Lucy outside of an AOC, inside the AOC event? The AOC event, that was the best, when Lucy was like stood up and started talking some shit, and then she told people in Spanish the deal about this woman AOC, and like, you can meet me outside. I'm taking phone numbers. Enough of this bullshit. Keep going, Lucy. I'm sorry. I had to put that in there.
You know, actually, so that led to a big disappointment for me. Like, now that all of this Gustavo Petro thing is going on, because you know what happened after that? So when I stood up, right, and I was like, we need to start a third party, like in Colombia, Chile, or Mexico, right? And you know what that AOC woman did was, she went to Colombia, Chile, and Mexico to shake all of their hands. And what I realized is that these people, they copy you. They copy your ideas, right? And then they do exactly what you're saying, and they camouflage themselves as you. And then, like, I don't think it was like less than a month later when I saw like Gustavo Petro shaking AOC's hand, and then I realized that we have a really big problem here, because like, I understand like that the, you know, left in Latin America, they have their own concerns, whatever. They think it's like, they have bigger fish to fry than, you know, like worrying about helping us like with our third party movement. But I really think that like there needs to be more conversation, because, you know, if Gustavo Petro thinks AOC is the best we can do, it's really a big problem.
I would say that Petro probably doesn't believe that she's the best we can do, but because of the lack of access third parties have to or lack of access, they don't get enough. They're not exposed enough to Latin America for them to actually make a proper judgment on who they should be supporting. And so, you know, from his perspective, based off of what's being reported in Colombia, like, he might think that AOC is a good politician, even though she isn't. They got blind sides.
I
mean, Maduro got screwed by Lula, and they were friends.
Hold on a second. Let me just say this.
But I grew up in Jackson Heights, which is, by the way, is Little Colombia. It's literally the biggest Colombian diaspora community outside of Colombia.
Yes.
And Gustavo Petro does not even talk to the Colombians inside the United States to realize, like, he doesn't think he has anything to learn from Americans. He does not realize that the way kind of this libshit politics is deployed in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually has PDS. Like, I saw his speech, you know, when he came to New York, and he was just like, Trump this, Trump that. And I was just like shocked. I was like, this is not going to resonate in the this doesn't resonate in the United States as much as he thinks, you know? And I
Right.
just,
When did he get that? When did he get
you
that speech? When did he get that speech?
You should watch it. I think maybe it's online somewhere. The speech of when Gustavo Petro came to New York City. It was really good.
But like, do you know around what day? Like what date was it? Roughly.
I don't remember. Maybe it was last year.
Yeah.
Well, I won't say. You gotta remember, this is at a time where Trump was saying that he was literally going to overthrow the government.
If you guys have guests on your show, talk to them, because like if from Latin America, tell them like you guys have to support our third parties too. It can't just be like, you know, the Americans have to help us, because we do. I mean, yes, we are in a better economic position, but we have our own problems here, and like there's not that much enough communication. Petro has a huge megaphone. Do you know what it would do for him to boost a third party?
Yeah, but Petro's a very interesting. He's a very. I don't put Petro on the same pedestal as I put on Evo and AMLO. Those are two different people, right? Petro has this history where he's close to the Clintons too as well, and I think that kind of led into the whole bashing of Donald Trump. He was the mayor of Bogota. We should have been at this last election, Lucy, but when we were at the one 4 years ago, a lot of parties came in, third parties in Colombia, because I have multiple parties. The head of the Communist Party came in and even said, like, Petro is not the ideal candidate. He's the compromise candidate. He's just a bridge right now for us to get where we need to go, because we need somebody in Colombia who's worked with the establishment enough to kind of further to get things done that the grassroots and the independents and the workers want in Colombia. So he was the actual kind of like compromise candidate. Like now I know he's like kind of had this. Good. What's that, sweetheart?
Yeah. No. Okay. I mean, that makes more sense. Yeah, because for me, I was just like the sequence of those events, it kind of left me dumbfounded, and I was just like, you know,
yeah. Well, there's nuance
really
there, right?
Want to give up.
There's and Lucy, if it's possible, I'm going to get your number from Josh. I don't know what the hell's going on. They're drilling upstairs for me, and I got to end the show, but I'm going to get your number from Josh. But it's like you taught me about Gabriel Boric. Like, I watched a lot of your stuff back in the days, and I kind of understood who Gabriel Boric was. Sometimes you got to take the good with the bad. You're not going to get everything at once. Gabriel Boric was part of a third party. However, he still had these kind of like plugs into the globalist and whatnot. And there's like blind spots. Claudia Sheinbaum right now, there's a blind spot because she wants to plug into digital banking simply because she wants to build 1 million houses for the poor. You can't own a house unless you have banking. So she's playing into the hands of the digital IDs and the digital banking simply because she wants to, you know, get people houses.
There's good intentions,
so, I mean, there are blind spots with these candidates. We got to wrap up the show. Lucy, do you mind if I grab your number and give you a call? I'd like to have I've been wanting to have a conversation with you for years. I think you're brilliant. I love your work. I love to read what you got. And I think it's important moving forward because there's a co-option, right? There's either useful idiots or paid propagandists. And I think it's important to examine those things. When you were talking about the gray zone, somebody in the chat was going, what's going on? Well, a lot of people look at Max Blumenthal's father as a reason to go, wait a second, right? You know, hold on. So these are reasonable questions, and I think we need to explore them. Lucy, if you have any links to your stuff and you want to share them in the chat, please do so. Do you mind if I grab your number and give you a call later, and we'll have a conversation, have you back on and talk more about this? We can build a segment around what you were talking about. All right.
Sure. All right. Have a good day.
Thank you for calling.
Thanks so much for everything.
Let me know the address where I can send you some wine. I know you're into wine, and so am I.
Okay.
Nico, let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube. Just look me up, Nico House, NIKOHOUSE. On X at Real Nico House. On Instagram at Real Nico House. And of course, follow us on Hotspot where we post Breaking news
Hotspot.
every day. At Hotspot on X.
Nico, I love you. I wouldn't be sitting in the seat without you. I'm so glad and thankful I met you and become family to you. You are my fam. I love you. But I will never forget what you did for me here and gave me the opportunity. You helped change my life for the positive. Now I'm going to go out and live it to its fullest. Thank you. Get out of here.
For sure.
Love you. We didn't get to talk about Jimmy Cherizier and the Dingo Ate Me Baby. We'll kind of plug that back in, and we'll talk about that whole situation. Jimmy Cherizier is not a revolutionist. He is not even liked, and we will talk about him next show at Dingo Ate Me Baby, and we'll talk about that and the bullshit about Danny Shaw, the rumors and the lies. He's not aligning himself with any NGOs or any big people over there. He goes and speaks the language. He hangs out with the people. I've been in Brazil with Danny Shaw. I've been in Nicaragua. It's the whole 9 yards. It's just amazing. So let me get on out of here. Guys, cue the music, maestro. Take a moment to reflect on the importance of diversity of thought and the peace we can cultivate with our neighbors. In a world that often feels divided, it's our differences that can actually bring us together. Every unique perspective, every story shared enriches our collective experience and fosters understanding. Remember, it's okay to disagree. It's how we handle those disagreements that truly matters. Let's embrace dialogue over debate, compassion over conflict. When we listen to one another, we open the door to meaningful relationships. By engaging with our diverse communities, we can find common ground and build bridges that promote peace. So I encourage you, reach out to someone with a different viewpoint. Share a meal, have a conversation, or simply listen. Let's create a ripple effect of kindness and understanding in our neighborhoods and beyond, because sometimes conflict can often bring resolution. Hey, thank you for tuning in today. Remember, together we can celebrate our diversity and pave the way for a brighter, more peaceful future. So until next time, keep the dialogue flowing and that peace growing. For Sleepy J on the ones and twos, our super engineer and our lovely co-host that he is. I love you, Sleepy J. I can't thank you enough for doing this with me. I've had such a great time. I appreciate you, brother.
Same.
You know that. I love you. Now go have a Mountain Dew. To Nico House, our co-host, to all the people in the chat, Gabrielle, Freedom, co-producer, executive producer, just fucking superstar that you are. We love you. Love you, Fred Edward, for getting up. Snorky the Professor. I want to thank Choosy for calling in today. See, Choosy, listen, when you're understanding, somebody said you block them. Don't block people, Choosy. Talk to them. Take it slow and low. You got to spoon feed people. You let them get their heads wrapped around stuff. I want to thank Lucy for calling in. Did I miss anybody? Did we have 3 callers today or 2?
Yona.
Fucking Yona. Watching the World Cup. I want to appreciate. I love you, Yona. You don't even know. I caught up with Yona in Nashville. We were kind of like in the middle of a little hissy fight, but Yona came up to me, and I'll always love that dude. He's got a great heart. His heart is in the right place, and that's what matters most. And that's why I love all you, because your heart's in the right place. Thank you guys for following. Join us tomorrow in the morning with retired Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski. I promoted her to general. She'll be here tomorrow talking. On Thursday, Kyle Anzalone will be back. And then on Friday, Andrew Zigman. That was Nico House today. Until then, I love you all. We'll see you tomorrow. And don't forget, it's all about the peace.